You're watching TelecomTV from the MEF16 event in Baltimore. And I'm joined now by Travis Ewert, who is SVP Global Network Software Development at Level 3. Travis, very good to see you, and thanks for joining us on TelecomTV.
Hey, thanks Guy for having me.
No problem. We in the industry talk a lot about software-defined networking. Interesting that your keynote presentation this week at MEF16 is on the subject of customer-defined networking. What do you mean by customer-defined networking?
Yeah, so as we kind of coined this here a few months back, the other CDN, and not that our industry needed more confusing acronyms to add chaos, but for ourselves, we coined that term, kind of a play on words for SDN, and yes, we are a major CDN operator as well, but customer-defined networking is really what we've seen as kind of the progression of how our customers are using our offerings, and I'll give you a little bit more on that.
Well, Level 3 has been offering OnDemand Services to its customers for quite some time now. What has been the uptake and the reception from your customers?
It's been a great reception. I mean, the fact that we've been able to overlay our SDN-enabled capabilities on top of our Ethernet platform, and not just for Ethernet as a service, but also what we call Ethernet as a transport, where we're leveraging that for even VPN and managed services, more layer 3 centric services, and the ability for customers to have a on-demand capability, and great example of that being dynamic capacity. But what's been interesting for us, and back to the CDN reference, is their use has changed. So, interestingly enough, and you'll hear from a lot of the panelists and keynote presenters here this week, there's been a lot of focus on single pane of glass or one-stop shop, and you think of like a UI experience to go into, and for us, that's how we started. But what's been the big change for us is the role of programmability, where early on we actually gave our customers the ability to what we call calendar it or schedule, for instance, a capacity change, or even tie that to analytics, where they can program it. They can actually pick a segment of their network and say, when utilization does this, do this for me. And what's been kind of the biggest evolution of use has been where customers early on did more of an ad hoc go in there and say, give me more now. But a large uptick, almost the inverse, where we started at kind of 25, 30% was more programmed. Now we're seeing more 75% where they'll actually go in, program it, do this, based on calendar, based on analytics, and then walk away.
So it sounds like really you're not having to hard sell to customers. Customers are already embracing this way of working and using the services.
Yeah, and what's cool is that we're part of their journey, and we're learning from them, we're learning from their use, and the fact that we gave them the option early on, not just to do an ad hoc on demand, give me capacity now, but actually the ability to go in there and program it by way of scheduling or tied to analytics. They have taken us down a path where we're looking more at what else can we do to make it more of a programmable, or in the case of our new acronym here, customer defined, where they can actually go in there and program the experience against advanced analytics or calendaring or whatever the case may be.
Got you. All starts to make sense about this, the customer defining services.
Yep.
Does this mean your relationship with customers changes? It becomes more of like a two-way consultation arrangement?
Yeah, it does, and here's where that gets interesting. And great examples are our threat intelligence platform, and what we just introduced here recently is, as we start to get more and more from the network, whether that's threat intelligence, performance data, even application layer performance data, as we get more and more of that insight, that intelligence, and first of all, we use that internally for how we, better serve our customers and their experience from an assurance perspective. But as we put that in the customer's hands, then we give them a capability to describe or define, okay, when do you want to take action? And our first response to that is, give them the ability, one, to see the data. Maybe we can alert or notify off the data, but kind of the be-all, end-all in this whole space is, okay, make that a feedback loop into SDN orchestration and control, where you allow the network to make a change on your behalf based on how you defined your experience.
Now, I guess to truly help customers, we need to do this on a global basis. We need to involve all operators. Yep. So looking strategically, what should the industry do next? Does it need to focus a lot more on interoperability amongst providers?
A lot of the focus for MEF here has been around kind of that connected exchange, and a reference you'll hear around east-west interop where carriers, not just carrier-to-carrier interconnect, but also carrier-to-cloud ecosystem, cloud partners, and that's for examples of new connection, add capacity, maybe overlay a virtual network function. So that that's going to be a key part of focus for forums like this, hackathon, other things going on here. But back to the conversation at hand, I think there's going to have to be a greater focus even on that, that exchange of data analytics, intelligence off the network going two ways, and how you can do that over, consumable APIs. So I think it's going to have to be both, not just the control piece.
A final question for you is where does the MEF fit into all this? Alongside level 3 strategy, what is it that the MEF gives to you and enables you and helps you do your job better?
It's forums like this, it's events like this that highlights bringing all these operators together, and to the MEF's credit, what they've done over the last few years is expand this beyond ports, protocols, a metro Ethernet or Ethernet focus to more of services orchestration, and how do you leverage these new advanced software capabilities to do more, more than the traditional just set a network up and walk away, but how can you, embrace kind of the ecosystem going on here, and drive. Back to what I referred to before. How do we drive connectivity in a new and more meaningful way, and not just for exchange of traditional information to set a connection up and change it, but do so on demand. And I think that's the be-all end-all. When you could do that across network itself, reach, cloud ecosystem, other capabilities, then that's where at least we believe the MEF can do its best work.
Great. Well, for now, Travis, thank you very much indeed.
All right, thank you, Guy.